Hello everyone, I'm Ferdi Salvador. Join us in unlocking the tricks of the trade here on Trade Talks. Let's get down to business. According to the Global Wellness Institute, the wellness economy is expected to reach nearly 6.8 trillion for 2024 and march towards nearly 9 trillion in 2028. Within that are 11 different wellness sectors. One contributor is cold plunging, which has become a global trend since the pandemic. It started with the humble ice cube for those that don't live in cold countries. How has this practice evolved and what are the developments in this promising wellness sector? Joining me this morning is Luch Zanirato, a wine importer turned cold plunge enthusiast and one of his co-founders of Optima Wellness Philippines, co-founder Atty. Luigi Meer. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me this weekend. And I'm very excited because I really invested in cold plunging. But tell me, how did cold plunging start?
Well, first of all, thank you for having us. Super happy to be here.
My pleasure.
I guess it all started when it's about more or less a year and a half ago. Like Luigi invited me to do a breath work and cold plunge workshop. It was a 2-3 hour workshop. Shout out to Mark Beltran. He's one of the best out there to do it. So he introduced us along with our third partner, the Doc Sean Cato. He's our medical authority for Optima. So we did the whole workshop. And at the end of it, we did the cold plunge and we got out and we just felt great.
Yeah, but Louis, what's the history of cold plunging? I know they do it in the Arctic or in Europe, you know, when it's snowing out, you know, they come in from the sauna and they jump in a frozen lake or something. Do you know the history behind this?
Yeah, cold plunging has existed in various cultures for time immemorial. I mean, the Scandinavian countries, as you mentioned, they've practiced it for generations. Their setup is they normally have barrel saunas by the lake. And then after they do like a 20-minute session in the sauna, they hop into really cold water. Another culture that widely practices it is Japan. So if you've been to an onsen, they like to...
I've been to an onsen, but normally the onsens that I've been to are normally like warm. I don't recall going into a cold plunge in an onsen.
Some have a cold plunge option, although, I mean, it's set up in a very traditional fashion.
Yes.
So that kind of practice known as contrast therapy, where you hop in from a warm environment or a hot environment into a very cold environment, and then you can do 1 to 3 rounds of that. That contrast therapy has existed in various parts of the world for a very long time. And I think it's only recently that this cold plunge phenomenon has caught up worldwide.
Yes.
It's, as you mentioned, it's an emerging space. And at the same time, there's also been a growing pool of science and studies looking at really what the benefits are with this cold plunging and, I mean, but from a broader aspect, contrast therapy.
But as Filipinos, we obviously live in the tropics, and there's like cultural nuances when it comes to like going from cold to hot to cold to hot to cold to hot. You know, there's the elders will say, "Oh, you're gonna get sick," or they'll say you get pasmado or something like that. Does that hold true?
Well,
Luch?
I mean, we live in a very interesting time now. No? I think we have access to more information than we ever have in the history of mankind.
Yeah.
You know? So, I mean, there are very popular podcasts out now like Andrew Huberman, Joe Rogan, Lex Friedman. They all have access to like the latest health journals, and they all come out with the studies. So the facts are there. They do these, double placebo studies, randomized studies. So these hot, cold, old nuances in our culture, I guess they come out to, they debunk all these sort of old nuances that our older folks used to believe in. No?
Yeah, so, but you said earlier in the interview that you did the breath work with your other partner,
Yes.
and and you're the one who introduced it, right? Then when did you have a light bulb moment and said, "Wait a minute, I want to get into this business"?
Luigi, you wanna-
Luigi?
Yeah, it's actually a funny story. After we did that workshop, I mean, since us three co-founders, we all have our respective professions.
Yes.
We all had our own careers. We didn't really think of starting out this startup, Optima Wellness. So funny story, how it unfolded was, so we all got bit by the bug. We all wanted to continue cold plunging as a practice.
Oh, the cold plunging bug. Okay,
Yes.
let's qualify that. And I was like, what bug? Did you catch something I don't know
The
about?
cold plunging bug.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because as you experience, it's quite addictive. Once you
Yes,
get a
yes.
taste of it, the body craves for it. So I got bit by the cold plunging bug pretty hard. The very next day, I wanted to do the cold plunge.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how. So like how the other Pinoys normally start, they'll go on Lazada or Shopee, research, okay, what are the tubs, inflatable tubs out there? So, you have options on Lazada, Shopee. I bought the cheapest tub, inflatable tub. I inflated it. And then I looked for the closest 7-Eleven. I bought bags of ice.
He has mentioned 3 brands right there. I'm gonna start charging you.
Sorry
No
about
worries.
that. So going back, so I started to do just regular ice baths. I did it consistently for about 3 months.
Yes.
Until it hit the point where I was telling my friends, like, this isn't
Sustainable.
Yeah, it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
I basically lost an hour of my day just with prep time, preparing the ice, filling up the tub. So eventually, one of our partners, Dr. Sean, who's now based in New York, he bought a chest freezer and spec'd it out to make it waterproof.
No way.
So that you can fill water inside and cool the water.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Yeah. He retrofitted the chest
yeah,
freezer
he
pretty much.
retrofitted
Wow.
the chest freezer to make it into a cold plunge.
Okay.
Yeah.
So me seeing that that was possible, I ended up also buying my own chest freezer. But before I could waterproof it,
Yeah.
my wife found out what I was doing. She said, no, I'm not going to allow you to do that. Chest freezers are meant to hold meat and other produce. It's not meant to hold body of water.
Yeah.
If you get electrocuted, we have a 2-year-old, this is
So Mrs. Meer won, basically.
yeah,
Right?
so I eventually just started making my own ice at home.
Yeah.
So I had these ice cream tubs.
Luch is laughing at you because you have the same experience?
No, I'm laughing because I remember those times, and he'd be doing it every single day.
Because I got bit by
Yeah.
a cold plunge bug really
I can
hard.
I can see the obsession, crazy
Yep,
eyes. Yeah.
yep. So after like another 3 months of making my own ice, and logging it from my chest freezer to our banyo where I had my inflatable tub, I told these guys, there's got to be a more practical solution to
Yes.
this,
And so-
especially for husbands like me who have wives that won't allow them to spec out these chest
Or
freezers.
get electrocuted. I just have to say, guys, I don't think you should be you're retrofitting your own chest freezers for safety. Yeah.
So I did some research and realized that in other countries, they have this setup where you have a chiller similar to an AC condenser that's connected by 2 hoses to a tub that's filled with water. Right? So that's how it's done in other countries. When we did some research, we realized that that kind of setup wasn't available in the Philippines.
So ding, 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 business idea.
It started out first by us buying our own personal
Okay.
units just for us to use. And
This is
then-
what you told me when we spoke about this at a wedding. This is how
Correct.
Luch and I got into this because he said, I've got this cold plunge thing. I asked him what he's up to, and I got super interested because I did it on a wellness journey in Bali. And every time I'd fly or go to a hotel that has a tub, I call in advance, guys, can you please fill it up before I arrive? So that was my solution, but that's not sustainable either
Yes.
because number one, it's expensive,
Yeah.
and number two, it's not readily accessible to me.
Yes.
And so you found this this product.
Correct. So, I mean, our family has been in import distribution for
Yes.
quite some time.
Yes.
So we understand how to source. And so I told them if we want to source it, yeah, this is how we do it. And we just went on and went through a phase of trial and error, prototyping different chillers until we found the one, which are the chillers that we now have today.
Yeah.
It took a little bit of working with the supplier to tweak a few things to get it the way we want to. But I think that's when we knew that, okay, I think we're onto something here.
Yeah. What about, okay, let's go to the guttural. What are the benefits of cold plunging? Because there's two schools of thought, right? Some people are saying, yes, it's cool. You know, there's physical advantages to it. And another school is saying there's really no scientific basis. What's the median here? Because I have my own experience and I'm all for it, right? But Luch?
I mean, from a basic perspective and from basic science, I mean, what's readily available there in terms of research. I mean, in terms of dopamine, the research shows that there's an increase of up to 250% in
So
your
it's
dopamine.
mental.
Yes, dopamine is the happy juice you get
Yeah.
after you do a workout.
Yeah.
So you feel the sense of satisfaction. So there is a mental upliftment.
Yes.
That comes along with a mental clarity. So there's a boost in your mood, and it's proven, and that's why people sometimes get that bug because they feel
Yeah,
great
like
after.
Luigi.
Right? Yes.
Yeah, okay. What about the physical advantages of this?
I think normally people do it for three main reasons. One, it's to speed up recovery. So people do it, especially athletes or very active individuals. They do it to lessen muscle soreness, alleviates pain. When you enter a cold plunge, a lot of adaptations happen in your body that help boost recovery, such as it activates more white blood cells in your system. It helps you with brown fat adaptation. So recovery would be the first one. Next is also a boost in your immune system. So it can cause, again, vast adaptations in your
Okay.
body
So
that make you more robust.
yes. So the placebo school of thought has been smashed by both of you right now. Okay. So do you both agree?
Well, I believe so, yeah. I mean, one is the science, and second is the practice, actually feeling. I mean, Luigi and I, we both play football. We've played football from when we were kids until today.
Yeah.
We still get to play. And personally, after a night of football, normally it takes me about 3 to 4 days to get all the aches in my joints away. But, I mean, ever since we started
Yeah, like me, I tried
cold
it.
therapy.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a tender 35-year-old, and I tried because you get back pains at 35. It's true, right? And it's really helped me out.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is why I'm interested in this. But we'll talk about more of the benefits
Yeah.
and other variables that cold plunging can benefit people. We're going to take a short breather. Trade Talks. We'll be right back. And we're back. You're still watching The High Life here at Trade Talks on BNC. Still with us are the co-founders of Optima Wellness, Luch Zanirato and Atty. Luigi Meer. Okay, wellness is going to hit about, they said, $9 trillion by 2028. Of course, wellness, aside from the physical part, also has a mental variable to it. Does cold plunging have that promise or effect? Atty. Luigi?
Yeah, just going back when you asked us about the benefits, right? So one, it's recovery. Two, it's to boost immune system. But the third is really my favorite, and personally why I do it. It's really for mental resilience.
Okay. Well, as a lawyer, of course, it's a high stress profession. I mean, you read documents all day. You basically listen to everybody's problem, and you're not a medical doctor. So, so of course, that takes a toll on you, no?
Correct.
So this has helped you out.
Correct, correct. So I like to start my mornings first thing in the morning with a 3-minute cold plunge. And it's up to you what kind of temperature to set it at with our machines. But for me, I prefer to really go as cold as I possibly can.
Yeah.
And the way I view it is, again, because there's not a lot of things that I'm going to encounter in my day that are going to be more difficult than entering a really cold body of water. I don't think there's going to be an email or a call that is going to be as challenging as that first 3 minutes to start
Well,
my
if you
day.
put it that way, I completely 1,000% agree because I told you off cam, you know, I'm like a cat. I'm afraid of cold water. I cannot take a cold shower.
Yes.
It will literally destroy
Yes.
me. So I get the theory.
Yes, and my nephew put it best when he tried it and he said, "Tito, now I understand. With cold plunge, you automatically get a win in your day." Because yeah, I mean it's the same feeling as you get when you do a hard workout. Before you start the workout, you know, like let's say you're doing CrossFit and you know CrossFit, they're right there. All the exercises that you're gonna do on the board, and you're looking at it and you're like, wow, I don't know how I'm gonna go through all these
Yeah.
exercises. Yet, end of the workout, you've achieved all of that, and you look back at the board and you're like, wow, I got this W for
Yes.
today. Same with the cold plunge. You're looking at your tub, it's 7 a.m. on a Monday morning, you're not Instagramming yourself. It's just you and your tub, you know, you got a full week ahead.
Yeah,
you got
I
work.
need to mentally put myself in your situation because right now, thinking about that, it's giving me anxiety. Luch, talking about your nephew, you spoke to him about this. What age can people start cold plunging? Luch?
I mean, I think as long as well, we have some clients that even have their kids maybe in their teens. They're playing sports,
Right.
and they just want you know, to be optimal in terms of the recovery. You know, reduce like maybe chances of injury. So even if you know Cristiano Ronaldo, he has his
Who
son.
doesn't?
He has his son. His son does cold plunge, and he's I think in his younger teen years. So we've seen some of those examples now. So there's really no limit. If they're younger, probably maybe just to try it out, I probably wouldn't put my kid there for too long. But when when you reach your teen years and you're playing a little bit more serious sports and you need that recovery.
Do you think you need supervision if you're going to bring this kind of practice to your home? Do you need supervision? Because you have to be prepared to do a cold plunge. I mean, you know, breathing exercises and stuff like that. So what are the security measures to prevent any injury? Because, you know, any activity has a downside, of course.
Correct, of course. I mean, for one, definitely as you start the practice, sometimes for some there might be a bit of ego there where they, you know, if I stay longer, maybe it'll make...
It's not a competition,
Yeah.
folks.
If I
Yeah.
stay there for, you know, I mean, the science
Agreed.
says there's anything above 8 minutes is really nothing much more in terms of benefits you can get.
Yes.
Or it's very, very negligible now. So anything beyond 8 minutes is really, is not going to be that safe. We would like to believe.
Okay.
So,
But you guys, like, for example, when your clients go to you, hey, I needed a piece of equipment, do you direct them to, like, let's say, a fitness guru or cold plunge guru to tell them, okay, this is the right way to do it, you know?
well, if they ask, we have. I mean, there are clips from COD podcasts. There are YouTube clips as well that we could share. But generally, if they don't ask, we assume that they know how to approach the cold.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about talking about if it's still a trend? Is it still a trend?
That's a really great question. You know what? I think since the pandemic happened, I think well, at least I can only speak for myself and Luigi. We've been much more conscious about our health, and you know, how how COVID worked, na parang it gets you when your immunity dips. So then for us, it's a game of keeping that immunity up, keeping ourselves at our peak levels, you know, as much as we can, and cold plunge gives that to us. And we see that we don't see this as a trend. We actually see that this is going to become this could very well become a household practice. Like saunas now have become a household, not appliance, but a feature in a house. It's becoming more and more common. And we think it's just a matter of time that every sauna will have also a cold plunge right beside it.
Okay, quick fire. What is the #1 misconception of cold plunging? Luigi?
It's only for recovery.
It's only for recovery. Luch?
Well, you could get sick from doing it. Yeah.
That's a misconception.
Yeah.
Okay. What about optimum? You said a while ago, mental. Aside from mental well-being, what's the #1 benefit of cold plunging, Luigi?
Pain relief.
Pain relief.
The resilience really also for me.
Resilience.
The mental resilience.
Yeah,
Yes.
mental resilience.
Okay.
Yeah, by a mind.
Another question would be, if you didn't have your cold plunge machine on a daily use, what would you do as an alternative?
Sauna.
Sauna?
Same sauna.
Wow, so you guys are really hot and cold. I'm gonna call you the faucet boys because it's like hot and cold. Okay, so what is the cost benefit of having your own machine at home?
Well, I mean, like I said, since the pandemic, we've been much more conscious about our health. So it's really an investment in our health. You know, just like when people buy supplements to make themselves, I mean, whether it's placebo or they really feel better from taking supplements, the way we see it is really it's maintenance to be able to perform at our best and be at our best every day.
I'm sure our viewers are thinking, okay, I'm totally into that. How much will it set me forward instead of setting you back? Luigi?
So we have 2 cold plunge variants. Our entry level starts at 90,000, and then our pro version goes up to 185,000.
If you're not yet ready to go in with the full cold plunge system, the tubs are meant to also act independently. So the tubs go out at the round tub that we have. The starter level one comes at around 6,000 pesos. And the bigger tub, the oval one that you could lie down in, comes at around 36,000 pesos.
All right, last question for both of you. What's your biggest mistake? Attorney Luigi.
Discovering cold plunge only now. If I discovered this when I was 21, I would have started it already then.
Really?
Yeah.
Luch?
Biggest mistake, is this like in
General life.
general life?
Yeah.
Okay.
It could have been a date. It could have been a pair of shoes.
Okay. I think, I mean, because this is not my first business and I've done business before, I think one of the reasons why I enjoy this journey with Luigi and Doc Sean is, you know that saying, it's an African proverb, na if you want to go fast, go alone. And if you want to go far, go together. So one of the mistakes I think I made before was start business on my own. So everything was always on me. You know, if there's problems, it's on me. You know, there was a lot of responsibility to take in. I won't lie, it took a bit of a toll on me at some point. So one thing that's great about starting a business with friends that happen to become really good business partners as well is you get to share both the struggles and in the glory, and I think it's much sweeter that way. Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen, for being with us this morning. I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to my own machine. Okay, and that is it for today's show. I'm Ferdi Salvador. Catch the Bilyonaryo News Channel on Free TV Channel 31 and on cable via Signal Channel 24. Thank you for watching the Bilyonaryo News Channel. Always on top.